How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do a mission on Northport on my kind of new game playthrough. I'm going to go and do bridge repair. There's kind of, if I go left out of this garage now and a little bit further down the road between kind of the garage and the port, there's a bridge you've got to fix before you can even get down that way. I think there's like watchtowers and stuff I need to get that way. I believe the Royal is kind of down that way as well. And I'm bringing, I only need one lot of metal beams, but I'm actually bringing this bigger trailer because, to be honest, I actually quite like this trailer. And I just didn't want to really bring a normal 2-slot. I also brought out the old Ford Clip 9000 because, to be honest, I don't really get much excuse to use this a lot, especially when they added, say, Lake Coved and Nimandra. That's certainly limited what this thing's going to be doing on any of them. And sadly, I mean, mostly where I've got to go, I'm just going to follow the road, kind of go past the entrance to Mountain River, and not too far past that, there's a factory where I can grab the metal beams. Yeah, this is one patch just outside the garage, really, that unfortunately I couldn't get through. But apart from that, it is mostly roads all the way there. I was having a little bit of second thoughts at the minute, thinking, goddamn, should I just take the Navistar? And I'd like to do a bit of gameplay soon with the Navistar, because I did quite a lot of my own gameplay when I did my first playthrough with the Navistar, but between making all the reviews and everything else, I had to delete a lot of the footage because the PS4 doesn't hold a whole lot, so I ended up deleting a lot of my mission playthroughs. And as you can see, the Navistar is pretty decent already. I still certainly don't think it's OP. I think the Voron AE, the Taiga, all sorts would have just drove through there about the same, but yeah, it's certainly at a nice level where it's just pretty enjoyable. It's more the characteristic of the Navistar that I like. Like, some trucks in this game, they've just got pretty right, I would say. Other trucks are a bit, meh. Well, some are terribly meh. And to be fair, there is actually something I do like about this Ford Clip. I think it's pretty good. I do think they could do with adding all-wheel drive to it, though. I know, I suppose every truck, or nearly every truck in the game, has got all-wheel drive, and it'd make it a little bit kind of like the others, but at the same time, it's a SnowRunner game, it's an off-roading game, and yeah. I mean, if there's the option to take it back off, then at least for people who want to try things that are just rear-wheel drive and whatever, there's that option. But yeah, overall, it's sort of the chance to use this is pretty cool. It's just trying to find the time and the place when you actually can. Yeah, got here, didn't realise, but I need to unblock this bloody road as well, I admit. An attempt at a Dukes of Hazzard style launch over the top, so I could just carry on was attempted. It wasn't successful. On a side note, the winches are incredibly weak these days. They used to be a right beast. That's one of the reasons. I mean, I still love the Loaf because it's goddamn professional, but the Loaf was like, just the winch was the amount of tension you could get on the winch and flip stuff over and that. These days it seems to tap out really easily. A bit too easily. So eventually I gave up on that idea. I'm obviously going to need to unblock this road, and this is where it turns out it was a pretty good idea to bring the 5-slot trailer in the end, because yeah, to clear this, for some reason, to clear rocks out of the way, I need metal beams, but I only need one lot of metal beams for that as well, so I can kind of go and grab the stuff for this mission and my bridge. And yeah, right now, as you can see, there is a gap round to the left of the rocks. I was going to attempt it, but then I just figured that I know what will happen. I'll get halfway through, I'll get stuck, and because the trailer's in the way as well, even if I recovered or whatever, yeah, I wouldn't be able to squeeze the Navistar through to do what I'm about to do now, basically. And one nice thing with the Navistar, as I said before, is you can get the next engine upgrade for it straight away, which is pretty cool. Which on my first playthrough, I didn't get it for ages because it's 24 grand just for the engine, and yeah, back near the start of the game, saving up 24 grand. I suppose you could just repeat the contests, but I didn't even know what the contests were to know if they were repeatable or not or whatever, so yeah, like my first playthrough, I didn't get the top engine for a good old while, but now I've been able to do like the money thing on this, then yeah, get everything. Even put a snorkel on the Ford Clip for no apparent reason, because that thing ain't going that deep in water, I know that. It is a bit odd, some of the order that they chose to have things unlocked on this game. Like, I found an upgrade, I can't even remember what the bloody hell it was now, but an upgrade on this Northport map anyway. And it was only for the Freightliner M916, whatever the hell it's called. And yeah, I can't unlock that until, I think it's either level 14 or level 17 or something crazy, which I don't think the Freightliner is... It's a bit weird, the Freightliner feels like a very early game truck to me, really. I definitely like the Freightliner more now. Since they've fixed the steering, that's a biggie, because that was just ruining the whole experience then anyway, whereas now at least you can actually sort of feel the characteristic of the truck a bit more, and at least the Freightliner's got a nice bit of weight and stuff to it, so it seems to behave a little bit more realistically. Yeah, you can see there, I mean, I only caught my front tyre in a little bit of this snow, and I'm not sure, I'm not so convinced in real life that would happen to that degree. Not to that degree anyway. I think that's one thing that the cabovers on this game, I suppose it kind of makes sense to real life, but obviously all the weight's sat over the front axle, so especially when you have no drive to the front axle, that's kind of, yeah, that's where you need it really. But again though, I think the whole weight distribution on this game isn't really realistic. I mean, if you took this truck in real life, the actual weight of the cab itself, I mean, it's seats and a steering wheel and air, like there's a cab around it and that, but the vast majority of the weight of this truck itself would be low down at the front where the engine, then you'll have like gearbox, you've got the fuel tanks, the chassis, the rear axles, etc. It's like the vast majority of the weight is spread along the chassis of the vehicle, whereas in this game, this one, to be fair, is not that bad as far as things go. I'd say, what is it, the Zix, as much as I do enjoy the Zix, they need to calm that weight down at the front, because it's like a bouncy little maniac. It's not so bad. Once you've got a trailer on it though, it kind of, because the trailer's sat over the back, it, yeah, helps remedy the situation a bit. And again, I do like the Zix for a cheap truck in this game. It's pretty fun. It's not a serious like game-eating truck or anything like that, but just for zipping around, having a laugh, and trying some of the more simple missions, yeah, it's pretty cool. By now, by the way, somebody drove past the house beeping and stuff, and yeah, I looked out the window, I got distracted, wondered what was going on, and went splat into a telegraph pole. Pretty bad timing, but we're all good. Yeah, it damaged my engine pretty well, but I don't believe it reduced my power to weight ratio or anything like that, so not too badly affected. It never tried stalling on me or anything either. It's places like this really where yeah, having that all-wheel drive would be nice. I remember that mission now, if one rescue, I think it's like a curtain-side trailer from the river. Like, it's been pretty good starting some of these missions again. Obviously it's added a lot more variety to it again. The only thing I suppose I would adjust if I could is the amount of XP some of the missions, especially the early ones, pay out takes you a bloody long time to get up the levels, and I don't really mind at the minute because I can just flick back and forth between the different save files, so it's yeah, if I want some of the top end stuff I can just go to my first playthrough. But yeah, I mean, even now, like, this is Northport. It's when I did my first playthrough, I actually did hardly anything on Black River. I went to Northport first, went and got the Hummer, went and got the Royal, and kind of struggled quite a lot, I suppose, overall. But even now, I'm at level, I think I'm only at level 4 or 5 or something. I don't get the chain tyres until level 12, so that's going to take me a good old while. And yeah, chained just, I can see, I know why they've put a level on it, so you have to like get as far as that, but at the same time, if they could just up some of their more stock tyres, it wouldn't be as much of a bonus in the first place anyway. It's just like, I know it'd be a bit better, but yeah, that's just on maps like Northport. I don't know, it's just, that's what I found with chained, like, and I know there's sort of some people prefer the chained, some people prefer the muds, and they swear by either. Like, I'm not necessarily saying the chained are the best through every terrain, it's just that they never let you down. There's never any way I've not been able to get. Muds are kind of good until they're not good, and then they absolutely just let go completely. And yeah, on missions, or maps, sorry, like this, where you're driving along roads and stuff as well, having the chained, I mean, at the minute, I believe these are either the highway tyres, or at best they're all-terrain, so they're not really high up the pecking order of tyres. And I believe I've got the second engine for this, so it's not fully upgraded, but I did go and do a little lap on Black River and stuff, grabbed a couple of upgrades. So yeah, I believe it was like A on power, so it's still pretty decent. And for the right mission, this truck is, yeah, pretty good. I keep forgetting to do this. I've drove past quite a lot of missions on my new playthrough, and it's worth remembering, just for anyone who's not sure what I'm on about, like every time you drive over a mission, accept it, even if you just click start tracking and stop tracking to get rid of it back off like the top right corner, but you can then go and look in your menu later and look what the mission wants you to do, and then you can obviously just reactivate it and start tracking. Whereas if you don't select them, then sometimes you can look at it now on like the task giver list on the first page, but yeah, it's not that handy because it never tells you what you actually need to do, so you'd have to drive all the way back there just to find out what you need to do. And yeah, you might not bring the right trailer, you might not bring the right truck, etc. I even had a little go then. I was trying to be realistic when turning around. Normally what I like to do is just smash through all the fences and that. Still a little bit of an addiction from Grand Theft Auto 5. I just love smashing everything up. But again, it's pretty cool that they put fences and stuff you can knock down in this game, so... But I resisted the temptation. Tried to behave. And yeah, fingers crossed going back this way, things go a bit better. At least now though, with this trailer on and everything, it's kind of pushing down on the rear axles. Considering I'm now going back up the hill, it's yeah, just about scraping by. But you'll see, I went on the SnowRunner forums earlier, I was going to look if there was any more news regarding when the next update is coming out or anything. Not really, I heard a lot on that front. People were just estimating that, I believe on the PTS server, like the test server on PC, they have said it's the last, like, I don't know, bug fixing session or whatever as far as that goes, so apparently that means it's kind of getting closer, but it's still going to be like a good 2 weeks or something before they confirm it for console and all the rest of it. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be, we're going to be getting a Halloween update or anything like that by now. But yeah, what else I was reading was, it kind of confirmed what I've been saying all along really, where I kind of find when you go into the low range gears, they don't really feel like they're gearing the truck down and you're getting more torque or anything. It just feels more like it cuts your revs off, and that's basically what somebody was saying on the forum, that they were curious while modding, they wanted to go and see what kind of multipliers the low range gears were doing or whatever, and they basically found out by looking at the XML files, whatever they're called, that the game basically has like a set amount of power for your truck, and when you go into the low range gears, they're not actually gearing the truck down and thus theoretically giving you more torque or anything at the cost of a lower speed. They're basically just capping the throttle more, so if you think like low, low, medium, low and high, low, there is no difference between them other than, yeah, the rev range or like the throttle limit. And apparently back on MudRunner, I nearly played MudRunner tonight. The only reason I didn't in the end, because I didn't get onto my computer until pretty late, and I knew I'd either, yeah, I'd just start messing around on MudRunner, forget the time, and yeah, just not really pay attention and mess around. So I'm going to leave it for another night. But it was interesting after reading that, because like I said, it does more confirm what I was saying, that it behaves more like a cruise control in this game, whereas yeah, really they should add, like if you go down into the low range gears, there should be some kind of multiplier, even if it's like 1.2, so you just get an extra 20% power essentially. But like obviously in real life you're not actually upping the power, but if you drop it down into a lower gear that like does it from a ratio of 1 to 2 or whatever, it's like you're essentially doubling the torque. And you can see now, in fact this is a perfect example, I'm in low range now and I'm spinning those 2 side tyres, but my other tyres are not moving, and fair enough, this has not got diffs on, etc. But you look now, all I did was put it in auto. I have no diffs or all-wheel drive to engage, and it suddenly just fed more power to the rear to where it lit all 4 wheels up instead of just the 2 that were like the path of least resistance. And now I'm driving up the same hill, and yeah, it's the same truck and everything. It's just by going back into auto, I just like it let me have the rest of my throttle. Like the first gear can rev all the way up, because then it'll want to jump into second and so on. Whereas yeah, the low ranges are just a bit of a cock blocker as far as your rev range goes. But I do believe there might be some other multiplier as well, because obviously on top of that you have like the terrain resistance stats or whatever, just whatever it factors in with the surface you're driving on. And I personally believe in some situations when you click over to the low range, it might adjust those multipliers in some way, because there is definitely situations where you can put it in low range and it does feel like you get a little boost in grip. It's the same as I've said before, and other people have confirmed it and mentioned the same thing in the comments. When you attach a winch to something, you seem to get like a little bonus to your terrain, you know, your grip or whatever, when you attach a winch to something. That's one of the reasons I've mentioned that if I'm driving around with, say, a Dolphin with a loaf in the back in my sideboard, that's what she said, and I stick a winch to it, even though I'm just winched from, say, the Dolphin to the loaf and it's its own little contained unit, it's like it drives through terrain much better, or not much better, but I would say I've shown it a few times in videos where it is actually like a noticeable benefit. But yeah, it was just interesting though that that's like the situation at the minute, whereas I believe with MudRunner, I don't really understand all the code inside of things, but I think with MudRunner it was more, if you dropped it into the low ranges, I believe it did probably like do some, factor in some kind of multiplier that gives you more torque and stuff. But like I say, I will go and play MudRunner pretty soon, because just for the sakes of variety, but I also, yeah, I've been I keep eyeballing it every night, thinking, oh, do I want to go on it? Like I say, I need to get on it nice and early so I can just have a little mess around and then go and do something that makes sense. But there's a couple of things from MudRunner I'd like adding to this game. To be honest, I wish they'd just add pretty much every truck that we were able to get in MudRunner to SnowRunner, because they've obviously pretty much got them there. So I can't see it, if people can just mod their own things into the game, I can't see it being that hard for them to add all that stuff. But yeah, you got like that E7310 or whatever it's called, that was a cool truck. That Western Star, I can't remember what it was called, like, but it was a big red truck. A lot of people, it was on like the American Wilds DLC, I think they added it on that. You also had, was it the K700 with the big like grabby front arms that could grab stuff. You could pick like the little cars up and stuff with that. And yeah, that red tractor as well, that had like a big crane on it, but it also had the snowplow type thing on the front, which would be pretty cool for, as you'll see, once I clear these big rocks out of the way, there's obviously a load of little rocks in the way which don't really present any issue to me, but it'd be cool if you could have a snowplow and just clear the routes. Yeah, when I put the brakes on, obviously went skidding straight past there, but every time I reverse, I have even less grip than just sitting there. Instead of it even remotely attempting to reverse, it just kind of wheel spins and slips further down the hill. Fortunately, got ourselves a loaf-trained Ford, so yeah, managed to blag it that way. Like I said, there's just not a lot of XP being dished out. I know it's not the biggest mission in the world, but by comparison, that what's it called, food delivery contest on, say, Black River, that takes 2-3 minutes if that, and I think you get probably about double the XP I got from that. But yeah, at least that's one out of the way. That's that road clearance done. See, to be fair there, the little rocks on the road didn't actually present much of an issue. But yeah, I'm glad I planned it out this way now. I'm pretty glad I brought my bigger trailer. That's one thing, again, with the chain tyres, or rather not having chain tyres, is this thing understeers quite a lot. And yeah, it's not specifically this thing's fault, I understeer with bloody everything on this map if you haven't got the chained on. It's definitely one of those trucks that's a bit like nothing, 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 wham. Just goes the full 100% once it finally digs in. And yeah, next up, this little trellis section. So it's like, what kind of sadistic monster decided to add this little bit to the game? Got a nice, perfectly functioning road going along, but no. I actually don't mind like these little bits. they're alright. Well, I did notice as far as it goes, like the rear tyres are spinning about twice as quick as I'm moving. The front tyres, like little anchors, they look like they've got the brakes half on. You'd think they'd just roll at the speed I'm moving anyway. But yeah, like I said, it's more like they've got the brakes half on. That's another reason where if it was all-wheel drive, even if they're not necessarily helping a hell of a lot, they're just not holding you back either. They're not, you know, just, yeah, little anchors that dig into the mud and do nothing. I mean, that GMC is really, it's like a different truck now. It's got all-wheel drive, and it's way, like, it's jumped up the list of trucks, like, as far as what you can use. Yeah, it's made it a much more realistic proposition in this game, really. Just having a quick think. It'd be nice, you know, if there was a way to go in the garage and repair and pop out the other side with your trailer. The only reason I abandoned even attempting in the end, because I was like, well, where am I going to drop my trailer? And then I'll, yeah, there's no smooth, quick way about doing it. I'd have to go in the front, pop out the back. That's what she said. And then, yeah, like kind of loop back around and grab it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be overcritical of the game or anything like that. It's, I definitely think they've lost their momentum a bit, and they've dropped the ball as far as releasing this next DLC on time goes. And it's just kind of give everyone a chance to sit back and notice all the little quirks, good or bad, of the game, really. So whereas if they'd just kept it releasing on time, give us stuff to keep us distracted and keep going, then yeah, it's not as bad. But once you actually, yeah, you start paying attention to that stuff, I mean, overall I still think it's a bloody good game. I still feel like I've got my money's worth. As far as the DLC goes, the season pass, I don't regret getting the season pass, certainly not. But obviously, so far, I mean, I paid what effectively amounts to 20 quid basically for the season pass. I've only got 1/4 of that so far, so I've only got 5 quid's worth. And for 5 quid, 2 maps, some vehicles, whatever, yeah, that's not too bad. But not everyone is going to want to be playing this game for like a year solid, so they definitely need to get cracking with it a bit. And as far as the game goes, I'm not bored of the game at all. It's the opposite problem, where it's like, I'm enjoying the game, I enjoy the mechanics, I enjoy the whole situation, the terrain physics and everything. It's just kind of like, yeah, I want more excuses to go messing around on the maps, really. Whereas, especially that you can't even reset the missions, obviously that's why I've come and done a new gameplay instead. But yeah, they've kind of led themselves into it a bit, really, where people have had a chance to sit back and say, well, while I'm at it, this could do with changing, etc. But anyway, we got there in the end. Got the bridge built. I do like those little animations. Kind of miss them. Don't get to do much of that anymore. And again, like I said, the XP it gives you is pretty crap, really. But yeah, it's I'm in no particular rush. It's just, I think to get to level 6 also, I need like 4,000 XP. And if this is only paying out like less than 200, I'd need to do 20 odd missions like that just to get to level 6. And even then, I still haven't really unlocked a whole lot of anything. But to be fair, there is a couple of solid trucks that you can buy very early game that'll get you by most of the stuff. This thing, all things considered, it's not been too bad. Anyway, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.